Okay, we're going to go ahead and start a flip lesson this evening. And the way this is going to work is I've sent home an organizer, or actually it's a blank piece of paper. By the time you get it done, though, it's going to be this awesome looking organizer. So let's go ahead and get started. This is about simple interest, and I know you may not know what simple interest is at this point, but that's okay because that's what we're going to learn as we go along. We're going to kind of do the organizer and talk about simple interest as we do it. So let's go ahead and start with what I want you to do first. Let me see. Okay, we're going to create the organizer, and what I want you to do is I want you to hold this landscape or vertical, and then I want you to fold it over so that it looks like the one on the picture here. And remember, the good thing about a flip lesson is you can pause the video and make any changes or take your time to do this correctly. Alright, the next part is I want you to fold it in half again. Fold it in half 2 more times so that you have 4 pieces. You can see I have 4 almost looking tabs is what we're looking to make here. So this gives you kind of the guidelines as to where the 4 tabs would be. Okay, once you get this done, I want you to cut those 4 tabs up the middle. But wait, don't start yet. You're going to only do this on the front side. You are not going to cut all the way through, otherwise you're going to cut the tabs apart. Okay, so you're only cutting this front side so that you're going to have a flip organizer. So each tab's going to flip open. We're going to be able to look at it. Okay, now on the fronts of each tab, I'm going to give you a formula. And this formula is the way you calculate simple interest. It's a really easy way. You just have to remember it. I equals PRT. And we're going to talk about what each one of those letters mean, which it says it right here on the front. I is interest. And to find the interest, it equals the principal times the rate times the time. You will notice that on this video, I have the little bullets here for the multiplication and the multiplication here. But we know that in algebra, if I didn't have those there and all I had was I equals PRT, that means P times R times T. And so we have to remember we're using the algebra in this also. So let's go ahead and get those tabs done, and then we're going to talk about what each one of them mean more specifically. So in order to find interest, we have to know that we take that interest equals principal times rate times time. Okay, let's talk about the interest first. First, we need to know what interest is. Interest is just an amount of money that you either earn or you pay. You can earn it by making an investment into the bank. There's a lot of different investment options out there for you to take your money that you have. Maybe you got Christmas money and you want to invest it so that you're earning money. That means the bank's going to pay you money. If you give them your money to hold, they'll pay you money for it. There's also, which is probably the one we're more common, more familiar with, is the loan aspect. If you go to buy a car, or you go to buy furniture, or you go to buy any of these things like that, you have to pay the company or the bank in order to let you have their money. And that's what interest is. It's the amount of money you either earn or you pay. Okay, so I want this on the inside of your tab. And at the bottom of each one of these tabs, I still have written down I equals PRT because I want you to get that in your head. I equals PRT. Okay, let's talk about the P. What is P? P is principal. Principal is just the original amount of loan or investment. So let's say your parents go buy a car and they're going to borrow $25,000. That's the principal amount that they're borrowing. It's the original amount of the loan. Maybe you have Christmas money. Maybe you had a grandma who gave you, $2,000 for Christmas. That's pretty awesome. And you go invest that in the bank. Your principal is the amount that you put in the bank for them to hold. So if you put the whole thing in, your principal would be $2,000. The next one is the rate. That's just the interest rate you're going to pay or that you're going to earn. We've talked a lot about percentages. So we should be pretty familiar with this. The key thing on this one right here is it must be in decimal form. If you do not have it in decimal form, it will not work. Okay, because remember, we cannot calculate with a percent. A percent is just a representation. You have to put it in decimal form. So if you have 15%, that decimal form is 0.15. That's a key point. The time is the number of years you plan to borrow this money, okay, or that you plan to invest this money, okay. You have to put it into years. All right, so you can see my examples down here. This one's pretty easy. If you're going to invest your money for 3 years, then your time would just be 3. When you put it in, you know how you plug in the numbers into the formula, then it would just be 3. But if you plan to only invest it for 6 months, we have to think about that in terms of a year. How much of a year is 6 months? Well, it's 6 out of 12, which is 1/2. So you would use 1/2 for your time, not 6, because if you put 6 in there, that's assuming you're going to invest or borrow for 6 years. And you can't do that. That's not what we're doing here. We're only doing it for 6 months. Okay? So that gets your organizer done. This is the formula to calculate it, and hopefully you have a better understanding of what interest is when you come into class tomorrow, and we're able to talk about this and do some activities with it. I don't do this in proportion because sometimes you're given the interest and you have to find how much the principal is, or sometimes you're given the interest and you have to find out what the rate is, and we're going to talk about that more tomorrow. But before we go, let's do a couple of examples. You can do this on a separate sheet of paper. We can put it in your interactive notebooks tomorrow. I want you to try these 2 examples. Find the simple interest for $2,000 investment earning 5.5% over 4 years. So if you plug that into your I equals PRT, okay, and I equals PRT, so it's wanting us to find the simple interest. So the I is what we're missing. That's our unknown. So it stays I equals, how much are we investing? The principal amount, that's $2,000, times, what interest rate do we have there? We have 5.5%. If I make that into a decimal, take my decimal over 2 places, that's 0.055. And the time is 4 years. You got it easy there. You just put a 4 in for your time. Okay. Once you calculate that, I have to get my calculator out too. So go ahead and calculate that. See what you get. Let's see if we come up with the same thing here. I got $440. So let's think about what that $440 represents. It represents the interest that you're earning. Okay? So when you go take your investment back from the bank, excuse me, you're going to get your $2,000 back, plus they're going to give you $440 for just letting them hang on to it for you. Okay? So the total you'll get back from the bank at that point would be $2,440. Okay? Let's look at the loan one down here. Find the simple interest for the furniture loan that we're doing. Okay, we automatically know as soon as it says find the simple interest, the I is the part that we're missing, so the I stays the same. I equals PRT. What's the principal for this loan? $1,500. And what's the interest rate? It's 5%. Now we do not put 5 in for our rate. We put that in as a decimal. It's 0.05. And then the amount of time we're going to hang on to it would be that we're going to use their money would be 3 years. Since it's already in years, you just put the 3 in there, and then you just calculate it. I equals P times R times T, and what I got was $225. So when you go to borrow money on something like this, you really have to think about the interest, because $1,500 is what we borrowed. However, we also have to add that $225 to see how much we actually paid for that furniture. We paid $1,500 plus the $225, which would be $1,725 that we paid for it. Okay, we're going to do several examples in class tomorrow, so don't panic. I mainly just wanted you to have the notes down. I will leave you with the joke of the day as usual. So let's see what it says. How do you make 7 an even number? Because we know 7 is an odd number. Well, duh, you just take the S off. Have a great night. We'll see you later.